in Chhattisgarh, the tracking data has so far suggested the Congress was comfortably placed and Bhupesh Baghel seemed set for a second term. Does the situation still seem the same, or are the dynamics changing? C-voter sampled 7,652 respondents across the 90 assembly seats of Chhattisgarh between the 1st of September and the 8th of October. Let's take you through the vote share projections first. So coming up on your screen now, the vote share projections for Chhattisgarh. Remember, the Congress had 43% of the vote share in Chhattisgarh in 2018. When C-voter last polled in August 2023, the Congress's vote share was at 46. At 46%, the Congress seemed very comfortably placed. In October, the Congress's vote share has now come down to 45. That's 1% less than what they picked up in the last poll. The BJP, which had crashed to 33, went up to 41 in the last poll in August. That vote share now projected at 44, which is 11% more than the last assembly elections. The Congress still has the edge, but it doesn't have as big an edge as it did a few months ago, which suggests that the BJP is gaining some ground. It hasn't gained enough ground to land a knockout blow, but they've gained enough ground to make this a very exciting election. So between now and the 7th of November, there will be a lot of mirch masala in the battlefield of Chhattisgarh because this election is getting close. Both parties think they have a chance to win. Let's take a look at how this vote share projection converts into seats across the 90 assembly seats of Chhattisgarh. C-voters projecting at this time that the Congress's vote share, which was 68 in the last elections, this time is likely to be 48. Remember, you need 46 plus to form the government. So 48 means you're still across the finishing mark, but you're very close to the finishing mark. And when you're close to the finishing mark, that's not a comfortable position for the Congress. The Congress wants to win like they won in Karnataka, where you're comfortably placed and the BJP is far behind, and therefore there's nothing they can do because you've won a big mandate. 48, when you need 46, is just very tight because the BJP is projected to go up from 15 to 42. That's a gain of 27 seats between 2018 and now. So 42 for the BJP, 48 for the Congress means Chhattisgarh is now tighter than it was a few months ago. Yashwant Deshmukh, why is it that you think that the BJP has recovered some ground? And do you think this is just the amount of recovery that is likely, or are you suggesting, or are you picking up momentum shifting in Chhattisgarh from advantage BJP to now this being neck and neck?
There are a few pointers. Again, as I said, that party in power increasing the vote share from the previous election, that is something which is interesting for me to observe. But as you mentioned, it is only the starting point. As we know, more rebel candidate, other candidates, they point in. That is when we know where this dust settles down and eventually what is the vote share that we are looking at. However, one thing is clear. Actually, two things are clear. Chief Minister Baghel is extremely popular. In fact, in our MOTN poll for the India Today, we know that he was at rank number 2 right below Naveen Babu in that way. So there is no anger against the Chief Minister. However, just by virtue of, Congress actually in 5 years back got disproportionately large number of seats in Chhattisgarh. Nobody expected them to pick up those many seats. That also got in a problem of huge number of non-performing MLAs. So that anti-incumbency at a micro level is something which the Congress needs to be extremely cautious about. Now we need to see that on the ticket distribution side, how many candidates actually non-performing MLAs that they can actually drop, how many new faces they can give so that this anti-incumbency at the micro level can be countered. On the other hand, BJP has finally cleared the ticket of Dr. Raman Singh. Even without projecting his name was consistently coming up as the only BJP leader, which in the verbatim top of the mind record people were naming as the Prime Minister, as the Chief Ministerial choice from the BJP's camp. So now that he has been given a ticket, will that consolidate BJP's votes further? That remains to be seen. However,
No, but you know what's
Chhattisgarh
happened
is
in the
much
last
closer than
5
what
years
everybody thinks.
is that Bhupesh Baghel has been playing the Chhattisgarhiyavad card. Remember, Chhattisgarh was largely a tribal state. It didn't have a sub-regional identity of its own, like a Tamil Nadu, for example, does, or even a Karnataka. He's tried to build that out. And therefore, Dr. Raman Singh, because he comes from the upper caste, and that's just about 5 or 6% of the voters in Chhattisgarh, he is arithmetically disadvantaged. Therefore, the BJP is trying to bring up a new crop of leadership in the form of an Arun Sahu or an O.P. Chaudhary who come from the Sahu, the Satnamis or the OBC community to try and build up a non-upper caste face. But then the big risk there, GVL, is that it's happening too late in the day. You can say, okay, this guy is now an Arab stallion, he'll run and he'll win the derby. But the voters don't really have that kind of an affection with that leader. So some of this new leadership that you're building is happening late in the day. Your new leaders don't have the kind of recall, and the ones that do don't have the kind of projection that may be required for them to be confidently projected to be the next chief minister.
No, Rahul, even without any such projection, your poll itself is showing a massive vote shift in Chhattisgarh compared to last election. So it's always not necessarily a leadership that results in a vote gain or a vote loss, but the mal-governance in Chhattisgarh itself. This is a huge anti-incumbency that is evident in your poll. And when people decide to vote out a government, then nothing else matters. I think it will be, I see this really going all the way towards the BJP, because again, we had a 10%, we lagged behind by 10 percentage points in the last election with 33% vote against Congress's 43. And today, if we have closed that gap significantly, it clearly shows there is a massive anger against the state government. While the PR exercise of Chhattisgarh government might have given Baghel a big name in the national level at a time when Congress had no governments in any state in the country, the reality is on the ground there is a severe unhappiness about
Nasir Hussain,
Chhattisgarh
is
government.
this data alarming from a Congress's perspective? You're still projected to form the government, but the momentum seems to be shifting, and often, like the victorious Australian team of the past, the West Indies team of the 70s and the 80s, if the BJP sends an opportunity, they can often go in for the kill. The Congress needs a healthy margin. The BJP can find some way of making a tight fight turn into a victory. Are you concerned about BJP gaining some momentum, even though you seem to be in the lead at the moment?
Rahul, I agree with you that Congress should win with huge margins. They should win with a large number of seats. And this is what we have been telling the people across the country. Don't give us a simple majority. Please give us an absolute majority. Otherwise, BJP will break governments, will see to it that the governments are stabilized, will see to it that there is horse trading, will buy MLAs, will use ED, IT and CBI. This is what we have been saying. We said this in Karnataka, we won with a huge margin. And we are winning Chhattisgarh in with a huge margins. And again, what you try to explain in Madhya Pradesh, I think BJP has a similar problem here, the percentage of votes which they are getting here. And I think they will be getting these numbers slightly from urban areas.
No, but it's very different. No, one second. Nasir Hussain, it doesn't hold. Sir, that logic, sir, Nasir Hussain, Saab. Sir, one second.
See, you give so much of time to GVL, then you give so much of time to GVL, you don't give time to me.
Okay, no, please. Okay, you make your, I'll explain the difference between Chhattisgarh and the other states in a moment, but you complete your point. Go on, Nasir Hussain.
20 lakh farmers. Tendu Patta and forest produce procurement. Now see all these schemes, Rajiv Gandhi Kisan Yojana, old pension scheme, Godan Yojana, loan waiver for farmers, about for 20 lakh farmers, 25 lakh getting benefited from, 25 lakh farmers getting benefited from Rajiv Gandhi Kisan Yojana, old pension scheme, Godan Yojana, and then Tendu Patta and forest produce procurement. See, all these schemes are largely targeted and directed towards the rural Chhattisgarh, and that is the area from which I think large number of Congress seats will come. They may be five here and 5 seats down or 5 seats up, but we are definitely going to form the Chhattisgarh government. There's no anti-incumbency against the government. and the chief minister is hugely popular. That is the reason why the central government was all out trying to arrest ED, trying to make use of ED and arrest officers from the chief minister's residence, officers from working with the chief minister to defame and depopularize depopularize.
So can I just make the point now that Chhattisgarh is different from Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh because Chhattisgarh is a largely rural agrarian state. Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan have more urban pockets than Chhattisgarh, and therefore what was said in the case of a Madhya Pradesh or a Rajasthan may not be true in the case of a Chhattisgarh just because of the breakup of the seats of the state. Far more agrarian, far more rural than a Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Amitabh Tiwari, there is some shift in momentum. The BJP is gaining some momentum. The Congress is losing some of its lead, but the Congress still in front in Chhattisgarh, 45 versus 44. Is that enough, you think, to see them through in the battle in November, or should the Congress really be concerned at this stage about what may happen in the next few weeks?
I think the Congress should really be concerned because, as you said, the satisfaction levels with Baghelas are fairly high, but that is not the case with the local MLAs. And BJP realizes that the anti-incumbency against the local MLAs is high. That's why it is going for a seat-by-seat contest, not announcing a chief ministerial face. And I beg to differ here from you that any seat-by-seat contest actually is very, very difficult for any incumbent party to contest. That's what we are seeing in Rajasthan, MP, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Mizoram also. So what is happening also is the fact that the SC/ST community helped the Congress sweep 32 out of 39 seats in 2018 Vidhan Sabha. However, the top two positions or the top three positions in the ministry are occupied by the upper caste and the OBC. So the SC/ST representation in the cabinet, which BJP was once accused of in Chhattisgarh, has not happened even in the Congress government, and the BJP has tried to project some ST community leaders like Ms. Renuka and Gomati Bai, etc. So there is also, what is happening is that with the weakening of the Janata Chhattisgarh Congress, which had damaged BJP significantly, bagging 8% vote share, they are now almost vanished, and that voter is coming back to the BJP, reverting to
Not necessarily. Some of those, because Amit Jogi and his mother are discredited, some of those votes could go back to the Congress, because when I was in Chhattisgarh and I asked this question, where does the Jogi vote go? Because it's largely a Sattami tribal vote, a lot of that could also go back to the Congress. So it's not as if that vote is necessarily coming to the BJP, Amitabh.
Yeah, so that is what was actually believed in 2018 also, that JCC will damage the Congress, but it actually damaged the BJP more so in the central region. It bagged all its seats from there. It did not win significant SC/ST seats. Most of the seats it won were general category seats. And with the weakening, and that is what is being seen in the regional share also, that BJP is gaining significantly in the central region. And the X factor here could be the women voters who outnumber the men voters in Chhattisgarh. The women voters outnumber the men, and that
where does the Jogi vote go? Yashwant Deshmukh, very quickly. X factors, what can change? Where does the Jogi vote go?
Well, he is right. I mean, I was absolutely right, because last time the Jogi votes actually damaged the BJP big time. So much so that even in the strongest of the urban seats in central Chhattisgarh, BJP had to face the music. But this vote is actually largely going back to the BJP. And also the fact that, the anti-incumbent vote of other parties might likely to polarize again. So last election was kind of, we predicted that BJP is going to lose last election. We predicted Congress is winning. But the extent of which the victory margins, the extent of the number of seats that Congress got, that even surprised the Congress leaders themselves. So that kind of extreme verdict kind of thing, that might be rationalized a lot. However, for Congress, the biggest strength remains the chief minister, their chief minister, while the BJP still has to
So here's what we wish to say
its place in order.
in conclusion. Even if the Congress wins, it will be with a likely lesser margin than they did last time when the BJP just collapsed. After 3 terms of being in power, they just collapsed in Chhattisgarh. That's unlikely to happen. They're bouncing back. The Congress is coming down. The Congress, though, still has the lead. Can they hold on to that lead? Which is why this election is so exciting, which is also why our coverage is so important, because we give you the kind of insights you will not get on any other Indian news channel.